He's the best shortstop in New York. It's 8 games in. He struggled his rookie year, but I just think that there's more there, and Volpe can do more. He's a better defender than Lindor. He won the Gold Glove last year, and I think he's going to be a better hitter this year. And by the end of the year, everyone's going to be saying it.
Well, I mean, we'll hit on your last point, Dan, because that's certainly the most volatile. I mean, Anthony's 22, so and I think Lindor's 30. Or 31. So you probably go with the 22-year-old, but it's still hard to say that Anthony's better than Francisco Lindor. Lindor's had an awful start, but you look at his numbers that he puts up every single year. I'm sorry. I love what Anthony Volpe's doing this year. You know, he struggled last year offensively, 209. I think there's a high upside. We know what Lindor's going to be, but at this point, Lindor's a better player. Don't you think so, Don?
Yeah, but it's unfair to compare a guy that's been in the league for a decade to a guy that's been in the league for 1 year. Now, is he a better defender? He won the Gold Glove last year. Lindor's won 2, so maybe he can end up being a better defender. Yeah, but right now you're talking about a guy that can hit 30 home runs, a guy that can, drive in, 100 RBIs. I mean, is Volpe going to get to that point? Maybe, but we'll have to wait and see. But, Lindor, even though he's grossly overpaid, he's a perennial all-star. He's won a Silver Slugger. He's won a couple of Gold Gloves. He's a perennial all-star. I mean, let me ask you this, Michael. If Volpe ended up being Lindor, would you be disappointed as a Yankee fan?
No. And also, if you're putting a team together, you probably take Volpe, makes $1 million.
Yeah, but that's, again...
Lindor makes over 30.
Right, and again, I think he's overpaid, but that's not his fault.
Right.
The fact is he's a guy that can hit 30 home runs, driving 100 RBIs. He's a lifetime 273 hitter. He has hit 300 in his career. And I think a Yankee fan would be very happy if he ended up putting up those numbers that Lindor's put up over the last decade.
All right, we got to talk about Lindor and the threats to his family. We'll do that. 1-800-919-3776. All coming up right here on Yes at 98.7 ESPN.
See everything your store can do with tools from Square. Your inventory automatically restocks, so you never run low. Your online store stays open 24/7, so you're always ready to sell. Your payments are processed in seconds, so customers can breeze through checkout. And with one account to manage it all, you've got more time for taking time out. Get your all-in-one retail system by signing up at square.com today. Switch to Square and take charge of your business and your time. Switch to fast setup and even faster checkouts. Switch to making every sale, every way you want, and every way they want too. Switch to one system connecting every tool to every task, even as your business grows. Switch to taking control and taking more free time, whatever that means to you. Make the switch to Square today. Visit square.com to get started.
This is The History of Glasses by Warby Parker. A theory of optics emerges in Egypt. Then for a while, not much happens, with glasses at least. A millennium later, the first pair is made near the Leaning Tower of Pisa. It had just started leaning. Glasses exist now. People can see, but they're more expensive than they need to be. So we start Warby Parker. We cut out the middleman to design higher quality eyewear for an actually fair price. Shop it at home, in stores, even virtually. It's the 21st century, not medieval Italy. That's the history of glasses and the future. Come see at warbyparker.com.
Let me give you some advice.
To become a writer by writing, there is no other way.
Your own thoughts, your own memory, and your own form of imagination.
Do something you think you can't do.
I would have killed to know that.
With Home Chef's new family menu, cooking for the whole family is so simple. You go from step 1 to done with practically no fuss. Simply prep, cook, and enjoy with the whole family. Get 18 free meals today at homechef.com.
Beautiful ladies, loving it. Beautiful family, jealous. Bride, it's the best day of your life. There's that smile. That's a keeper. Let's get the lucky men in here, huh? Oh. All right, we got it.
Container that I do the show at the stadium in, and there were people that had the glasses. So I said, "Can I borrow it?" I looked up. It's kind of cool.
No,
it's like you look. It's not cool.
No, it is. I went out.
Oh.
I went out right at the apex, which was supposed to be like 326, and
right.
And
yeah, that's what I did.
You stared right up.
No, I had the glasses, and it looked cool.
It's kind of like a crescent moon.
Yeah, and it was.
But it's the sun.
Yeah, and it was cool, and you could see that it got a little darker, almost like a storm was coming in, and it was cool.
Yeah, I mean, people are going crazy. I mean, they're spending so much money to have homes in Cleveland as, like $3,000 for the day just to look up at the sky.
Well, I think it would be different, Michael, if it was a total eclipse. We only got 90%. So
total eclipse of the heart.
I mean,
I was going to say, what if it was just a total eclipse of the heart?
I've had that, but I get over it quickly, unlike you guys.
Yeah, you don't even care. Is it really an eclipse? It's for you. It's a lunar eclipse of the heart. It's not special. Can I be honest? This whole thing is whatever.
Fugazi to you.
Dude, last night I saw The Undertaker choke slam The Rock. Whatever happens, whatever nonsense with the sun happens, it really doesn't matter.
Can I tell you something, Peter? So I'm scrolling through social media. I did watch the finale of Curb, and I know you probably haven't.
I haven't, so
it was terrific. I'm not going to give it away. It was terrific.
All I've heard was that they stuck the landing. That's all I heard.
They did. It was wonderful. It was great. I mean, 10 out of 10. And I'm scrolling through, and I see that The Rock is in the ring. There's a video. And then those insidious chords, that means The Undertaker's coming in. And I'm sitting there in my living room, and I just shook my head in disgust. I was there in Orlando when he supposedly died. The whole thing makes me sick.
I know.
Sick,
and
I say.
And how many years ago was that, Michael? That's 5 years.
Goodness, 10, right?
It was
not 10, but
the guy,
he's back
if
again.
he's dead, his corpse should be rotting.
I got to say this, and I'm no wrestling guy, but there is something to the moment that they always capture, going back to the Iron Sheik and Hulk Hogan. There's just that moment, and I saw it on social media, and like when Marco comes home from school, I got to show him this. And when you hear that bell toll and everything goes black, and then the lights come on, and he's standing behind the rock. Come on, that's cool, man. I am not a wrestling guy. I'm not going to try to sell you on wrestling, but I was really looking forward to having Marco watch that. He got all pumped up. That was a cool moment. They know how to capture moments.
No, they're good at this.
I'll just say this, and I'll hit a couple things during ENN, but I'll just say this. The end of that match last night, where I was standing, Natalie actually, she's going to post her photos later. They're
I saw
amazing
one of them
photos.
was outstanding.
Yeah, that was a real good photo.
Yeah, she was on the riser shooting.
But she could to me, if she took a photo of the side of a cereal box, I think it was tremendous. But go on.
Yeah.
But we were, the way that me, her, and Dipperstein and some other friends of mine, the way that we were screaming after everything happened along the way until eventually we got to the point when Cody won the title. The level of joy that we have, people could say what they want. It's not a sport, and it's certainly not a competitive sport. It is more fun than anything I have ever consumed. I'm 44, and you just don't have those feelings anymore as an adult. It takes you to a place that's amazing.
What I compare it to, Peter, is like any movie or any television show where there is the revenge factor, where somebody gets their comeuppance or somebody comes back. That always fires you up in a movie, right? It's always a cool thing, and that's what wrestling is able to do. When you get caught up in, is it a sport and stuff, that's when you start to kind of muck up the works
people
a little
being
bit.
lazy. That's the lazy conversation.
But I'm just saying, it's just like any other, a movie or just some kind of redemption that it's cool. They just know how to nail it, and if you take it for what it is, the sheer entertainment value is epic.
But imagine now if that show that you're talking about, Don, the way it's performed is in front of 70,000 people, and you're like a part of it. You're an active part of it. It's hard to even fully encapsulate. It's amazing.
So we're going to have a lot of this at ENN, and Peter was there, so this is the place you come.
Including a friend of the show who had a hell of a night last night.
Yeah, I heard. But both friends of the show did very well.
Wait,
right, the young lady did great.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, honestly, wow. Everyone who came on our show had a hell of a weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, it's time now for Diamond Notes, brought to you by London Jewelers. So, this was revealed, I guess it was Saturday or Sunday. Francisco Lindor's gotten off to a terrible start. There's no other way to put it. But he does that. I mean, he starts off slowly. The Mets did take 2 out of 3 against the Reds, so that's a good thing. But his wife, Katia Reguero Lindor, shared Friday night a few of the messages where her family was threatened. She got one private message she revealed that called Francisco a bleeping piece of bleep and wished, quote, him and your child die screaming. Another message entailed an account calling her a selfish, terrible word that you're just not supposed to use about a woman who should, quote, tell his bleep to work on hitting. What kind of lowlifes sit in their mom's basement and actually write this stuff? Again, and we talked about this at the start of the show, they should be hunted down and they should be arrested because you're threatening people. That's hate speech. It shouldn't be allowed. And you shouldn't be able to hide behind the anonymity of an egg so you could just make people's lives miserable. Now, what I would tell all these people, my life has been so much better. Stop reading mentions. I just don't. On Instagram, there's so many people that DM me or whatever it's called, and I never look at it, ever. So people that are sending me hate, I never see it. So you should save your lactic acid and don't type it out. But imagine that people feel that they could say that to another human being and get away with it just because Francisco Lindor has been off to a terrible start. It's a distressing part of society. The milk is out of the udder. I don't think that we could get it back because social media essentially runs the world now. So you're never going to stop it. But these people have to be held accountable. There has to be something where they pay for these words.
It doesn't it feel crazy, Michael? I mean, people can do and they can do really scary things too. You hope that it's just words, Michael,
right?
Because yeah, I know that you don't really think it's likely and that anyone's going to physically harm someone, and maybe it's just words, but people get doxxed and have all kinds of information released, and it's really sick, and in so many ways it's really hard for people to prosecute in any way. And like you just I know we want freedom, but like at what point is enough? Where like these platforms should have some sort of way of filtering out things that are sad.
Well, Michael says it all the time. There's freedom of speech, but you can't yell fire in a crowded theater. This goes beyond that. Now, it's easy to just say it's social media, it's some wackos, and 99.9% of the time, it is nothing. These are cowards. They would never do anything. Don't even know how to do anything. But God forbid if something did happen, and then you found out that that person had threatened them on social media, and it wasn't followed through, and you didn't check it out, how would that look? So, for the very least, they should be held accountable for taking everybody's time, because there are times it should be investigated.
I believe, too, you could push back at me if you don't, subscribe to this. I believe that the proliferation of gambling makes it worse. I saw an interview with Jason Tatum where he said, people are getting all over me if I don't score like 20 points in the first quarter because that was the over-under. And now imagine if you're just a crazed fan and you want your team to do well, so you get upset when your team loses. But now you're a crazed fan, and money that you probably don't have to gamble, you do gamble because gambling is now available to everybody. And if somebody doesn't hit the over, then you're going to really start to threaten them. I mean, these people, it's part, I guess, of the agreement to be a professional athlete and make all these millions of dollars that you're going to receive hate from people. Again, it shouldn't go unchecked, though.
Yeah, the reason I don't buy into that, Michael, is this has been going on forever.
But no, there's so many more people gambling now, Don.
Yeah, but what are you gambling on? If Lindor is won for his first 42, you're probably not betting on him to get a hit. But I really believe it's the fugazi passion that these fans have for their teams. Like, I would bet everything that the person that did that is just a sick Met fans that disgusted that the Mets are off to a slow start and Lindor's off to a slow start, more than a guy that bet on him to get a hit or bet on the Mets to win a game and they didn't. Because there is this, and we joke about it with Dave Rothenberg, and obviously I'm not putting Dave in this category, but it seems like we live in a world where the crazier things that you do as a fan make some sort of a statement what a super fan you are. Oh, I quit how many jobs because I don't miss a game, or I went home and did this or that. I burned a jersey. You're a moron, okay? That's what you are. You're not some sick, crazy fan. You're not more a passionate fan than me just because you go out there and do something stupid. So for me, I would bet everything that these are fans that just love the Mets and they're just disgusted that the Mets are losing, and this is the way that they vent, and this is the way to kind of prove, look how crazy a fan I am. You're not. You're crazy is what you are, not an actual fan. You're just nuts. Should be institutionalized if you put that much on the success and failure of your team. Because think about it, Michael, it's April.
Yep.
I didn't lose the World Series. He didn't have the goal. He didn't pull a Buckner.
But Gary did say it was rock bottom.
Well, that is true. But you know what? And I'm not going to get on Gary, but this is what we do. You know, the sky is always falling. Or, listen, Juan Soto's the greatest Yankee who ever put on the pinstripes. Like, we live in a world of exaggerations, and then we pin it all up to, because I'm just a passionate fan, man. I'm sorry. I mean, that seems like to be your get-out-of-jail-free card. When you act like a moron and you say, well, I can't help it, man. I'm just a passionate fan. Well, I'm sorry. Can you have some rationale into being a fan? That you got to pick up Twitter and you got to threaten the life of somebody's wife because he got off to a slow start? You're right. These people should be put in jail because you're threatening the lives of people. You get law enforcement involved. Do we really need to have people investigate these yo-yos? But if you don't investigate them and God forbid somebody does slip through the cracks, then what?
Yankees made a move before tonight's game against the Marlins. They signed left-handed pitcher Josh Massajeski, I think that's how you pronounce it, to a major league contract and brought him onto the roster. They optioned Jake Cousins, who didn't pitch well last night, or yesterday. The Yankees won the game to AAA, and they designated left-handed pitcher Clayton Andrews for assignment. It was so cute, Peter, you would have liked it. Jake Cousins was pitching, and the way the yes bug is, you have the batter on the left, and then right next to it, the pitcher underneath the score.
Okay.
And he was facing Alejandro Kirk. And right up there, right in the left corner of the yes screen, it said Kirk Cousins. Oh, can't make this stuff up.
Oh, it's a dream come true for everybody.
It is a dream, right? It's a dream.
Now, I do have to add one amendment to something I said a few minutes ago.
What?
After I completely buried the Eclipse, I then did see what Miss Hatton just posted on Instagram, and I will say that my wife did give me a different appreciation, perhaps, for what happened that I did not see. It was pretty
cool.
fire. Did you see the picture?
I haven't seen it.
Go to Miss Hatton on Instagram. She just put it on her Twitter, too. But, yeah, that obviously I was not able to see anything like that. That is pretty dope.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Great picture. 4 minutes ago.
I got nothing.
Yeah.
All I got was a shadow. I got nothing.
Well, that's you. That's your problem. That was Diamond Notes, brought to you by London Jewelers. Visit London Jewelers today at any of their 7 locations, including the Americana Mall and the mall at Short Hills. Now, if you guys would give me a minute, I have to talk about something personal that really infuriated me.
Okay, I love it.
I took Charlie to the game yesterday.
I saw that. With the nice picture with you and Paul.
Right. And Charlie sat in the back row, right? Mm-hmm. And watched the game. He had his iPad, so when he got bored, he could, watch what he wanted to watch.
So basically, you just brought your son to work with you.
Thank you, Peter. You set it up beautifully.
Yeah.
So then we had a picture of him standing against the yes backdrop with me and Paul, and we had him holding a mic, right? So I tweeted that picture out. I wish I had saved, and I don't look at what people say because I don't care because most of it's hateful. Not most of it, but some of it. I don't want to say it, but it showed up right there in my eye line as I was looking at the picture I posted. And this lowlife piece of trash, right? And if he's listening, I think you're the worst human being on earth. Wrote this: nepotism at its worst. A son goes to work with his father, it's nepotism. So when my father, who was an electrician, took me to work, and it was exciting when I went to work with my dad, and I would sit there and see him like wire up an apartment or whatever. Was that nepotism, you low-life piece of garbage? It's not like I put Charlie and he did 3 innings on the air. How's that nepotism? Anybody who takes their kid to work, is that nepotism?
No, this is a really, it's not even a functional moron. He can't function. He probably had somebody tweet it.
No, he's filled with
non-functional. Is because it's nepotism. I guess he doesn't understand what the word.
I want people to just attack this guy.
That he doesn't know what nepotism means because he's not actually taking the job. He's not working yet. So how could it be nepotism at its worst? Nepotism at its worst would be that him stealing the job from somebody else because Michael had the power to get him to do it. He's just hanging out by the microphone. Oh, but Michael, you win.
Yeah, exactly.
This guy's got no shot of accomplishing any. You know how sad that is? You know how sad it is to know that you might spend 70 years plus on this earth and accomplish nothing, never get married, never have friends, never hold a job, die alone.
Yeah, but hold on. I don't know, Don, that we can go as far as we just went. Michael may be somewhat to blame here.
Okay.
You see, the actual post, quite a trio in the booth for today's game. Join me, Paul O'Neill, and Charlie K for the action starting now.
Okay, so
so
what Don's saying, a functional moron. Are we putting a 9-year-old on the air at yes?
I mean, listen, Iron Eagle's son is only 14 years old, so this is very close. Now to Don's point, to believe that that's what's happening, Don, I think you would have to be a non-functional moron. But maybe they took this literal. It's just Captain Literal, man. By the way, the only thing I can look at in the picture is, with all due respect, this freak, Paul O'Neill. I mean, he's literally the Incredible Hulk.
He's actually bursting out of his clothes.
It's odd. I mean, if he showed up to WrestleMania last night, he would have ended up in the main event.
Well, here's the guy. His name is John Sinesi. And really, all my people out there, all you Carmi, okay? His name's at Empire, EMPIRE 41921, and he writes nepotism at its worst.
So now, after we just talked about how horrible the internet is, you're now sicking your minions on this guy?
No, this guy deserves to know that what he said. I mean, imagine a father taking a son to work, an innocent thing.
Very.
I mean, it to me is one of my great moments that I could take my kid to work, whether I was a plumber or whatever. I'm taking my son to work with me. And this guy ruins it by saying nepotism at its worst. You're the worst. You're the worst.
What about the guy who said hard pass on the Nepo baby and his narcissist father?
That's there too?
Yeah. Was this guy? What was this guy's name again?
William Robinson.
Oh, it's the same guy. He had another one. He doubled up.
Hey, let me tell William and all the people, if, like, when I'm 80 years old and I could possibly help my son get a job, I'm going to try to do it. I'm going to try to do it. Like my father would have tried to get me to become an electrician. I'm going to try to do it.
This guy's name is Will
you could open
Robinson?
whatever door you want for the. If Noah Eagle wasn't good, he wouldn't have the job.
Right.
His name is Will Robinson? Like from Lost in Space?
Danger.
My guess is, Don, this is not a real name.
Narcissistic. How does that make me narcissistic?
Considering, Don, it's a name with a bunch of letters and no picture. My guess is this is not a legit.
Maybe you can take your imaginary son to the unemployment line.
Oh, I can't hold a job upon this. That's what you're saying. Hey, you know what's going to make everyone feel better?
I know.
What?
Hey, we're going to vote for a champion right now.
There you go.
That's right. It's time to start it off, guys. We are here. Drop Madness 2024, the championship. And honestly, this could be very heated. We have the Don LaGreca 4 seed from the funny region.
Let's hear it.
Cut his fat ass. Up against an upstart. No one knew when this happened it would be a 1 seed, but here it is in the championship game, the 1 seed from the Nether region.
You know what?
You could vote for Griffin. You can vote for Don. You can do it all. You know, Michael, I looked. Don's cut his fat ass is a 9.5-point favorite. It would be a monstrous upset if we were to see Griffin somehow win in the championship game. But go vote. Twitter.com/TMKSESPN. You know how to find it.
This is going to be. And let's bring in Griffin here and see what his Griffin. What do you think? What's going to win?
Well, Don is going to win because Don's screaming. We all know whatever Don does, if he's screaming on the air, he wins. It's won the last something years. This definitely should be the Don Invitational.
But this has substance.
Yeah,
this one has a little bit more substance to it, Griff.
Griffin's in trouble. Griffin's in trouble.
Yeah, early voting in the polls not good.
Yeah, we are going to need a real. It's the people who really believe in you know what are going to have to step up.
But you know what, Peter? What bothers me? So Griffin just said something really. I mean, I thought it was insightful, and I agree everything that he said. I said the same thing. Don jumped me like I stole something from Marco's lunchbox, but he doesn't say anything to Griffin.
Well, I'm not going to yell at Griff.
But you yell at me.
Yeah, because Griff is in the fight. You've decided to side with Griff and devalue mine. I mean, he's got a dog in the fight, so I get what he's trying to do. He's trying to win.
Well, I always root for you, Don. I have a dog in the fight, but you win because you scream.
No, but wait a minute. But I get that. And in most times you're right, but I think there is some substance to this that people are voting for because it was a fun rant. I think it resonated with a lot of people. And I don't think they've isolated it to me yelling. I think they remember that rant fondly, and they're voting for it.
Yeah, if that's what you feel, that's all right.
That means Michael disagrees. That's unfortunate.
No. I actually think Don's drop deserves to win. But Don has developed a cult following, and this happens in politics, Peter. He's developed they can't hear past, they get orgasmic when Don screams.
Here we go. What was that, Dean?
He's
what
the
was
cult
his name
of personality.
Again?
What was that?
What was it, Dean? Who was the guy, the politician?
Howard Dean.
So I'm Howard Dean? Didn't work for him.
No, because
there has to be some substance, right? I mean, that only gets you so far, Michael.
Oh, correct. Just enlighten me, because I'm not the brightest light. I'm a nepo father. So can you please tell me?
Great point.
What is the background to that?
The fact that you have to ask is spitting in the face of me in the show.
What?
Well, just because you weren't here
yesterday.
It was the Neil rant when he went after the fans.
I wasn't on the show that day.
Don't stop.
Well, the show continues, Michael, with or without you. You know that, right?
I understand. That's why I'm not privy to the backstory.
Isn't that insulting, Peter, that something that happened on his show, he's not privy to the backstory?
It was a big moment. I mean, you got to remember that moment. Come on.
Yeah, but I thought of that rant, right? Boom should have gone further than this one.
Well, that's your opinion.
Yeah, but no, but that, Michael, that is where the argument is. The louder and the more coarse it is, the more likely it is to go far.
And that's what I'm saying. That's all. I'm not hurting anybody's feeling.
The fact, when he's not on, Peter, he doesn't really even care what goes on.
It's unfortunate, because it made it all the way to the McAfee show.
Unless it involves Michael, he can care less. Yeah. He could not care less.
That's simply not true.
No, but simply not true. Then you're going to have to give us some evidence, Michael, because right now the evidence presented says the exact opposite.
Well,
you don't remember
a rant? The days that I'm not on the show, because most of the time I'm the piñata, and I don't want to get upset at you guys.
That lived
this time I wasn't.
That was on McAfee. Now we got to the crux of it. He wants to be on McAfee. He's upset that even though it was on McAfee at Jace, it's still a lot closer than Michael's got on.
I'll never be on.
Oh, boy.
I'll never be on, no.
You're unbelievable.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I'll never be on.
Why would you say that? Why would you never
Hoping
be on?
that somebody will feel bad and put him on.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's doing. He's hoping if he says it in that way.
I'm going to tell you what, Peter. I don't think I would accept
so weird. You wouldn't accept?
No. I've been around a long time. Never a phone call? No, I'm good.
Well, I mean, they haven't even been around with ESPN that long.
Yeah, but the ESPN people were on his show even before he was on ESPN.
So you're hurt now is what you're saying?
A little bit miffed. I'll get over it. I'm good. Okay. And I think we're going to take some phone calls when we get back as well.
Oh, we should.
Yeah, let's do that. We have to talk to people. That's coming up in just a moment on Yes and 98.7 ESPN.
Rebag, a luxury resale marketplace curated with an eye for detail. where every dial, material, and stone is carefully vetted by our expertly trained team. A seamless experience for luxury collectors and sellers. Access the expertly crafted and the hard to find. Your next investment awaits. Rebag. Get 10% off your first purchase with Rebag TV.
Do you want to know what I've been binge watching? Udemy courses. They have thousands of courses that help me advance my career from anywhere, especially with this little one. I need to get in as much learning as I can. For both of us.
There's an easier way. From repairs and cleaning to remodeling and more, Thumbtack makes it easy to care for your home. Download the Thumbtack app and start caring for your home today.
Don't work for your money, let it work for you.
What money?
You're behind with student debt. Your budget is basic.
Let's go.
You're going to be lost, left behind. If I loan,
Payroll's late.
I've got 16 money apps.
I got a budgeting dashboard. Managers don't avoid it.
Try this app. It's Albert. It's got banking, savings, investing, and budgeting all in one place. It's simple.
Simple.
With ButcherBox, you never have to worry about what's for dinner. We deliver grass-fed beef, organic free-range chicken, humanely raised pork, wild-caught seafood, and so much more. Get high-quality meat sourced from trusted partners with free shipping always. So you can always be prepared and enjoy the important things. Sign up for ButcherBox today.
Before ClickUp, we were kind of a mess. We had so many different systems that we were using to communicate and share knowledge that you kind of had to code switch every time you were talking to somebody different.
We have distributed teams all across the world. There's a clear time difference there, and I think ClickUp really helps manage all that information regardless of time. We can communicate asynchronously, and so we are able to be very productive using ClickUp.
And more. And you'll get up to $1,000 back in casino bonus on any first day net loss. That's what you get with the #1 rated casino app. Sign up for FanDuel Casino and get up to $1,000 back to play it again.
Hi, Eric.
Hi, Mel. Is now good for a quick catch-up on your plan?
Yes, now's great.
Finance now or refinance later. Here are 10 tips to make your home.
Needless to say, your money could be working so much harder.
Yes, I'm thinking more long-term.
Interest rates will remain at current levels.
Great. We'll make that change to your plan and adjust as needed.
This helps a lot.
Bye, Mel.
Bye.
Back here for the Michael K. Show. Giancarlo Stanton's recent hot streak is brought to you by Montefiore Einstein, the official hospital of the New York Yankees. Stanton had himself a 3-hit game on Saturday in a Yankees 9-8 win, and then yesterday in the third inning, he absolutely pulverizes this pitch. A no-doubter off the Poland Spring sign, the second deck in left field. His third of the season and second in as many days. If you've ever been to a game where he connects, you know the sound hits different. There wasn't a fan in the seats that didn't have their heads in their phones, that didn't think for a second that that wasn't gone. And take a look at this split, by the way. Stanton got out to a slow start over his first 6 games, averaging over 2 strikeouts per game and just 3 total hits. However, it turned on a dime over the last 2 with Toronto, belting 4 hits, driving in 5, and striking out just twice. What does Stanton have in store for his former team, the Marlins? Well, you're just going to have to tune in tonight to find out when the Yankees open up a 3-game set with Miami. Our coverage begins post-Eclipse at 5:30 with the pregame, followed by first pitch a little after 6. It's the Yankees and the Marlins starting a 3-game set to wrap up the first homestand of the season tonight. Coverage starting at 5:30 with the pregame right here on Yes, and streaming, of course, on the Yes app.
Wow, guys.
All right, we've done a lot of talking. We've laid down a lot of groundwork. We've set the buffet. Now it's time for you to dine. We're ready for you.
How about
and
this?
Remember, Big ENN today, because Peter is going to break down firsthand what happened at WrestleMania.
And
Can't wait.
And we have over 1,000 votes already.
And you're crushing Griffin.
Madness.
Holy crap.
You're crushing Griffin like a pus pimple. That's what you're doing.
Oh.
The kind that you squeeze and then it goes up against the mirror, that's what you're doing.
What the F?
I don't ever remember that happening. And believe me, I had a lot of pimples when I was growing up.
Did it bother you that you had pimples?
Oh, big time. I took Accutane, Michael.
Really?
I went to a dermatologist that would rub dry ice on my face. They tried everything.
Did Dave have it too?
No.
So he didn't have it and you did?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, he had pimples like any other normal kid, but I was, God.
Yeah.
A landmine.
Wasn't easy.
It was a minefield on there. And it was really, but I got over it. But that might be the reason why I'm awkward around women, right there.
Really?
Yeah, I think that's where.
So you were. It was bad enough that. And how long did this last for?
Probably till maybe sophomore year of high school.
So like what? How long a run are we talking about?
Oh, that was the problem. I transferred to St. Catherine's. I was in Lincoln School. Went to St. Catherine's, and so that was difficult to transfer into 7th grade to a new school. And I was basically like, without the beard and gray hair, I was like this tall. I was bigger. I hit puberty like 4 years before anybody else, and it was a mess until like sophomore year of high school.
Oh boy.
That's unlike Michael. That's prime dating years.
Yeah, well, for me, it wouldn't have affected me at all.
Yeah, he wouldn't even know the difference.
Yeah, you were still able to read the box scores with no problem.
Yeah, filling out the scorecard at the stadium, nothing changed.
We have breaking news. Breaking news. Can I get the sounder, please? Breaking news.
Tell me it's a Griffin comeback.
No, John Sinesi, who said nepotism at its worst, has now tweeted.
Oh, what has he said?
I was an idiot, and I apologize to Mr. K and his son.
Okay.
Apology accepted, John.
Why? See, that's Michael doing that's what's right with society. What he did right there. Good for you.
It was an idiotic thing to say, and for that to even pass your hypothalamus and force you to write that out and send it out, you should be ashamed of yourself. But I do accept your apology.
I would like to have a dialogue with this person.
Call in, John.
It still came from a place of hate. He still doesn't like you. It just
you know what it is, and I hate to say this. They're jealous of the fact that I could take my son to a Yankee game. That's what it comes down to. That guy William Robinson, the same thing. That my job is that I'm an announcer for the Yankees, and I took my son to work. They're jealous. But you know what? I can't go on the field with my son. I can't go into the Yankee clubhouse with my son. He can go up to the booth and sit there. That's it. Just like he's sitting with his father at IBM. Not allowed to do the other stuff. It's a workplace.
And all the nepotism stuff that comes out there, and I'm not going to pretend that it doesn't exist and all that. But imagine the pressure on these kids to live up to the expectations. I can't imagine what Noah goes through. Everybody looks at the positive. Well, because his dad is Iron Eagle, look at the job he got. But now he's got to live up to being in the shadow of one of the great announcers of all time. Same thing with Kenny Albert. So you don't think that kind of balances it out? Yeah, maybe you got an opportunity other people wouldn't have gotten, but you're also dealing with a lot more pressure because the expectations are through the roof. And if you don't live up to that...
Don? You know who can handle it? Caledonia K. She goes, he ain't all that.
Well, that's not right either.
That's how Callie would react. All right, let's go to the phones. Let's go to Danny in Long Island. Let's see how this goes.
This should be interesting.
Danny.
First of all, that guy gets forgiven for a tweet sent out to the world that included his son in it, and I'm on the laminated. And I'm on the laminated.
You know what? That's a good take.
That's point God. That's what that is.
Well, I haven't spoken to you since then.
Well, I did call up, and I did give a rational explanation. I did not use the word sweeping under the table. I did not say Yankee ball. I said might have handled a little differently. That's all I said. I stand by it. I don't retract it. But it wasn't coming from a place of hate, and I did not think I was attacking your character. So
well, it hurt me to the core, and I'll never forget it. I know how you think about me now. You think I'm a partisan hack. That's okay. We can still be friends.
I said I think you're human, and there is no, as we've said numerous times, there is no unbiased media anywhere in the world. And that makes Michael human. That's all I was trying to insinuate. Your cohorts blew it up to get a good bit at my expense. But I'd like to thank. I was happy that guy did that because I was off the laminated list, but now I'm still on. But listen, since I've been on a laminated list,
no. First of all, you're not on the list. It's just I'll never forget. You're not. I don't want ill to befall you.
Yeah, there's different stages.
You're a great guy, and I know you love your mom and your sons, and that's important to me. But I'll never forget. You're not on the list.
Well, I need to be on the show because since I've been off, there's been a tragic bridge collapse, an earthquake, and now an eclipse. And if we didn't mend fences soon, there's going to be the 17-year. The cicadas are coming out of the ground, and I don't know what happens after that.
You're right. Good point.
Listen, as far as Caitlin Clark is concerned, too many people opening their mouths. Now you have the woman saying she's not going to recognize her record. Who cares what you recognize? Who cares if you're going to recognize Caitlin Clark's record?
Who said that? Who said that, Danny?
Some woman. She's all over the news today. I don't know her name. Some past basketball player that announced that she's not recognizing Caitlin's record. And as far as the other one saying, it's the big time now, that goes for every single athlete that's ever gone from college or minor league baseball to the pros. I always say, I don't care how good of a wide receiver you are, a quarterback. You're now going to play against 11 people who are better than anyone else you've ever played against. That's the same for Caitlin. That's the same for a pitcher coming up, a left tackle, any position. Now, with basketball, it just goes to show you that because you know their faces, they're not wearing helmets, they're very recognizable. And she's going to be the face of basketball, win, lose, or draw. I wish her all good luck. I wish all of them good luck. They make a living. But she should be treated just the same as anybody else. She's getting a lot of negativity because, Michael, these are the same people that are commenting on your thing. They just have to say something negative, and that's what gets the headline. If 1,000 people said she's the best basketball player, we're going to hear from the guy from the Boston who said something outrageous.
Yeah,
that's going to get the headline.
But you're right.
50 years ago tonight, Henry Aaron broke the record. I remember it well because my father bought us chips and dip because he had to go to work. A fight broke out between my two brothers over who would control the bowl of pretzels. They started beating the hell out of each other. My mother called them out of the room, and I was the only person who actually saw it in my house. It's a great story. But he got lots of hate mail, and you had to respect people back then because you had to take a pen out and write a letter, put a stamp on it, and bring it to the post office. But there was many, many, many more people supporting Henry Aaron that were all in than there were sending him hate mail. The hate mail always gets the headline.
Yeah. You know what also gets me about society right now, Danny? You see in the newspaper, especially the Post, and Peter knows how I feel about the Post. I love the Post.
Oh, yeah, too much.
But they actually quote nobodies on social media have something negative to say about people. Who are these people? Why do they merit being in a New York Post story? Oh, on Instagram, blank blank was killed for the outfit that they wore. Some lowlife that probably that would not address in any kind of situation. It's just unbelievable that these people are getting quoted.
But as far as the players are concerned, it happens in every sport. Remember Goose Gossage with Mariano Rivera, right? Well, in my day, I pitched more innings. I think everybody is kind of sensitive to the attention that Caitlin has received. I think that's just human nature. I think that's always going to happen in sports. When somebody's great, right? LeBron instantly gets compared to Michael Jordan, and I think that, and I think that's good that there's that healthy debate. But there's always going to be a generation that feels like the new generation doesn't get it, or boy, if in my day they would never be able to do it. That comes with sports. It always happens.
Nick in Queens. Nick. Hello, Nick.
Hi, Nick.
Nick.
Come on, Nick. Do the right thing.
Give yourself a bone. Awful. Let's go to Ken in Connecticut.
Hey, guys.
Hello, Ken.
Hey, Mike. So I did my first haiku a couple of weeks ago for the very first time. Peter, I understand your hatred for it. I get it. I never really thought twice about it before that. But the reason why I called was kind of a revenge haiku against Trevor. I heard a playback on Saturday. I heard some very not nice things in his haiku from Friday. So I just had a little response.
Oh, please, are you going to do it in my favorite form of haiku?
Oh yes,
great.
575, which
terrific.
Trevor didn't honor. He wants to talk about sticking things in inappropriate places.
Right.
You stuck a syllable in a place where you shouldn't have. So technically, you didn't do a haiku.
Wow.
So here you go.
Wow.
Yankee World Sunshine. Go eclipse yourself, Trevor. Get it right next time.
That's it, huh?
That was good, short and sweet. It was good.
Do you know that if I could push a button and change the world, I'd get rid of Ken doing haiku every time he calls.
Well, or maybe haiku is an art form.
Well, it's a high art form that it's above me. I can't appreciate it. I'm not that bright. Let's go to Richard in Manhattan.
Hi,
Richard.
Hi, Michael, Don, Peter. 3 points, baseball points, Michael.
All right.
3.
Oh,
Number
baseball.
1, can you talk to Manfred? Let the starting pitcher get credit for a win after 4 innings. It's no longer a 9-inning game anymore, and the emphasis is on relief pitching. They took out Schmidt the other night, 4 1/3. Weaver came in. Weaver pitched half as effectively as Schmidt, and he gets the win. So it doesn't work well anymore.
No. Schmidt earned getting taken out.
What?
Schmidt wasn't pitching great when he got taken out.
Well,
Louis Heel pitched 4 2/3 innings in his first start. He deserved to get a win. But I agree with you. It shouldn't be 5 innings anymore.
4 innings. Okay, number 2, Jerry Grody died.
Yes.
Jerry Grody caught Seaver, Ryan, Kuzman, Matlack, Gentry, and McGraw. It's about 1,000 wins. Do you realize that Johnny Bench said he was a better defensive catcher than I was? 63 years I've watched Yankees and Mets. He was the best. Better than Posada, better than Elston Howard, better than Thurman, better than Gary Carter, and certainly better than Piazza. Defensively, there'll never be. He was the hub of that 69 team and the 73 team. Harrelson, Jones, Agee, they were good. Seaver, of course, but Jerry Grody was the hub of that team. One last thing, Michael. This 8-2 start by the Yankees, it shocks me. Last year, they had the best pitcher in baseball, and I don't think they ever had a 10-game stretch where they were 8-2. Okay, so let me make some deductions from this analytically. You have 162 games, 9 innings a game. That's 1,358 innings. A couple of games go 8 innings because you're losing in the ninth, and a couple games go extra innings. So you figure about 1,375 innings. If Cole pitches 200 of those innings, that's 14% of the innings. That has the impact of just about one batter, like a Joey Gallo in the lineup, because he's only 1/9, which is 11% of the hitters. So what we're saying now is you're going to have to rethink baseball's starting pitching, ace starts. It may be better to get 2 or 3 pitches that can make up for those innings.
Don't agree.
And be decent and not be an ace.
Don't agree. I don't agree, and I'm going to tell you why. Because when Garrett Cole starts, Aaron Boone could save his bullpen for when you've got Nestor Cortez going tonight that might go 4 innings. And yesterday, Louis Seal going 4+ innings. No, there's a value to a guy that gives you innings. So if you get 2 or 3 guys that give you 5 innings while Garrett Cole gives you 7 2/3, I'm sorry, I'm taking Garrett Cole. That's why he makes all the money. No, Richard, you're wrong. No, you can't just spread it around and give it to guys. Just innings aren't all created equal, Don.
I do think they're overpaid.
I agree with you, but there's a value to a guy who gives you more innings.
Considering an everyday player, I think, can have more of an impact. But when you look at how the games are all connected, especially with lack of days off, to have a guy give you extra innings is huge. I'm with you. The Mets lost a game Saturday because their bullpen was spent. They didn't have any arms.
Right.
And they lost the game. They blew the 5-4 lead in the 8th inning because they just didn't have any other arms. If you got length from Severino, if you got length the day before, then maybe you would have been able to hold off a couple of relief pitchers and been able to salvage that game. So, yeah, not every game. So all the games are connected. So what happened on Friday affected Saturday, which then affects Sunday. So there are times that they affect more than just the game that they started in.
When we get back, Tony Clark, the head of the Players Association, said something. I mean, I like Tony. I knew him when he played for the Yankees, and I know he's got a job to do. Couldn't be more off base. Couldn't be more off base, talking about the proliferation of arm injuries that pitchers are going through. and the reason that he gave. So ridiculous that it takes away from the real reason. But we'll get into that in a moment. But first, Peter has something to tell you. Yeah.
We just shipped our millionth monthly coffee subscription box. We're sending custom thank you gifts to everyone on our team who helped us get there. I had to call Eric at Custom Ink. Custom Ink has been with us from the beginning, and he makes sure that we get everything we need and even reminds us of our own company milestones. This milestone, though, I get to tell him about. He is every bit as excited as we are and knows great quality products we can customize and send for the gifts. Celebrate all your milestones with custom gear. Get started today at customink.com.
Growing up, I always wanted to do so many things.
I wanted to be a vet.
I wanted to be an actor.
When I was really little, I don't know why, but I wanted to be a pastor. When I was like a small child.
I wanted to be a celebrity by any means necessary.
This is Spike Drop Vegas Heist.
These players are playing for a lot of money today.
I'm only here for 2 feet. I don't really care about any other place. Can't even comprehend what is going on, but I like it.
New season, new reasons to say yes.
This is star power.
Wow.
Cole dials it up. What a home run for Soto. Aaron Judge crushes one.
Get all the Yankees action. The Yes app.
Listen up, Nets World. Get into the action and lock in a 2024-25 Nets level membership. Members have it all, from exclusive events and behind-the-scenes access to discounts across merch and tickets. Not to mention the ticket flexibility in the first place, with round-the-clock management and seamless transfer to your squad. This is Brooklyn, and it's yours. Become a member today.
It's going to feel like home. It's going to be electric.
This is the Yankees flexing their muscles.
I think he's just going to elevate everybody in that lineup.
He has the right demeanor to pitch in the Bronx.
When you play in New York, the expectation is to win a championship.
This is the Yankees being the Yankees.
The Workplace Inclusion Now program by Autism Speaks. We bridge the gap and help businesses lead the way in inclusive hiring. Yes, these are all jobs for someone with autism. To learn more and lead the way in inclusive hiring, go to autismspeaks.org/win. Yep, that job too.
Technology is hurting our kids, so Gab created KidSafe Tech to protect kids from digital dangers. KidSafe Tech means no social media and more confidence. It means safe texting and peace of mind. Gab is KidSafe Tech.
When I hit 80, I needed help around the home. A friend of mine told me to call Freedom Care, and they'll pay my granddaughter to take care of me.
Funded by Medicaid, Freedom Care allows people to choose who provides their care, and the caregiver gets paid instantly after their shift.
Life is sweeter with her around.
Nana gave me so much joy as a child. Now it's my turn to return the love.
Call now to find out benefits and pay, and how fast you can get started.
To get more hits out here, start training in here. Introducing Win Reality. Game speed pitches anywhere, anytime. Hands in sync with eyes. Confidence in sync with your progress. Be ready for real. Win Reality.
The final stone of the championship.
At Bet365, we don't do ordinary.
Rogers, this is looking good.
We believe every moment in sports should be epic.
Is that curling?
No.
This morning's news, curling fever has taken over the world.
So whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365.
Is it possible to be more capable and more practical? Be able to perform here and here. Make a statement while barely making a sound. and command the road, as well as what lies ahead. How we get there matters. Get exceptional offers at your local Audi dealer.
So before I get into the Tony Clark stuff, the person who said she didn't accept, what Danny was talking about, didn't accept the record, that is Lynette Woodard. She was at the Women's Basketball Coaches Association's convention in Cleveland, and she said, I am the hidden figure, but no longer now. My record was hidden from everyone for 43 years. I don't think my record has been broken because you can't duplicate what you're not duplicating. So unless you come with a men's basketball and a two-point shot, but just for you so you can understand, so you can help me spread the word. So that means every record that's been broken by Steph Curry shouldn't exist because, Walt Frazier didn't have a three-point shot. How ridiculous.
I mean, what it sounds like is she's upset that her record wasn't previously talked about, which I understand because the game wasn't as popular. And so my guess is she has just some bitterness about, it's easier for her to break this record, which may be fair. But also, it didn't get talked about, but that's not Caitlin Clark's fault.
And here's the weird part, Peter, that Iowa invited her to the game when Clark passed her, and she showed up and she gave her flowers. So they did note that this is the record that's being broken. What more do you want?
It's just jealousy. In some way, shape, or form, it always comes back to that. The game wasn't as popular when I played. I deserve to get this attention. Instead of just saying, hey, all games evolve, right? The NFL used to have a 10-game schedule, 12, 14, 16. Now it's 17. So every record's compromised there. Baseball used to play 154 games, now 162. Everything changes. And usually whoever's record's broken, what do they always say, Michael? I'm hoping that gets broken. And they're happy for them because there's a new generation that's moving the game forward. Why can't she celebrate? I wish back in my day it was this popular, but it is now, and I'm grateful somebody was able to take it to the next level. No matter how you slice it, guys, even if the motivation inside her heart seems pure because she's trying to protect her generation, it still comes across as bitter.
All right, the Tony Clark stuff. So he releases a statement. I mean, there's so many people that are having these Tommy John surgery, waiting on Spencer Strider, whether he's going to have it. And it's an epidemic. It's awful. And he said that it's Rob Manfred's fault because of the pitch clock. I mean, Jim Cott posted on Facebook that, why don't you put a coffee table behind the pitching mound? I mean, he said it's so ridiculous. He said, we used to throw the ball within 10 seconds. There weren't arm injuries like this. There's one main reason why there's so many arm injuries. They're accentuating velocity. And these pitchers realize their way to the major leagues and to stay in the major leagues is to throw as hard as you can for as long as you can until your elbow blows and then you get Tommy John surgery. That is why. That's why. And if you want to throw in something that others have said about the sticky stuff, once you took the sticky stuff away, the grip on the baseball is so hard so that they actually have a grip that it puts a lot of stress on the elbow joint and might be leading to this as well. 18 or 20 seconds between pitches. Tony, I'm sorry. Come back to me. That's not the reason that elbows are blowing out. It's not. Because in the old days, like Jim Cott, get the ball, throw the ball. Get the ball, throw the ball. Whitey Ford, get the ball, throw the ball. Walter Johnson, get the ball, throw the ball. That's not the reason. The only reason Tony Clark's saying that is because the pitchers don't like having to work with a pitch clock. So they're telling him, the head of the Players Association, you got to get rid of this. So he's trying to tie the injuries to the pitch clock. Don and Peter, that's not it. It's the overemphasis on, and from the time they're kids now, in all the showcase games, throwing as hard as you possibly can. The body is not made to withstand that. It's not about pitch clocks.
No, but didn't this have to get approved by the Players Association when the rule came in?
Yeah, because they want it. They don't like the clock. So they're trying to tie it together. So he comes out and said that's the reason that they had the elbow injuries. It's nonsense.
But didn't they approve it?
No, they're part of the committee, but they don't have the majority of the votes. So Manfred can push through any rule change he wants.
I just don't see how it's tied together, because I heard Howie Rose, tweeting this out too. It's like the game had a better pace back in the 60s. Obviously, they were throwing the ball a lot quicker. It didn't affect them. Let's get to the bottom of what it is. Why do I always feel like when the Players Association snipes at the owners, it comes from a place of just trying to create friction and trying to create something that now you can get something back in return later on, because they hate each other so much. They don't have no respect for each other. They don't trust one another. They need to come together to try to figure out what the problem is, instead of just blaming Manfred and the owners for pushing a rule through. And now they're going to focus on that instead of trying to get down to the bottom of what's going on here. And I think you're absolutely right. It's the velocity in which these guys are throwing breaking balls that is causing this.
Well, here's a little secret, too. I don't know if you watched the Yankee games on Saturday or Sunday. They were well over 3 hours. They're not speeding it up that much because pitchers can't throw strikes. Yankees take a lot of pitches. They walk a lot. And so these games are not 2:30. Even last year, when the games went down to 2:35 on average, the Yankee games were about 3 hours. Teams that take pitches are going to play longer games. So can you imagine if they didn't have a pitch clock? The game on Saturday would have been 4 hours long. It's lunacy. That's what you're pushing back on. Of all the things, that's what you're pushing back on. Why don't you say, let's stop with the velocity. Let's stop preaching velocity. Let's stop them from going to drive line during the winter and throw harder and harder and harder. Don't you think the elbow is going to explode? That's exactly what's happening. The pitch clock. Come on, Tony. Come back to us. Don, if your elbow does blow, there's pain involved.
There is a lot of pain.
It really doesn't matter what your politics are. The military, these people are serving our country, and they need help. The United States is so much better than every other country, and it would not happen without people who risk their lives, and that's who you're supporting.
I want to hear what you rate the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
Right, which is always high pressure when I'm sitting right next to the guy. It's like, but we'll give it 10, even though I don't generally give 10s. That's a rookie score. But we'll give it 10. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't a 10.
So let's do good together.
Let's do it.
Is your cat getting too cool? Give him Temptations dry cat food.
The best ideas come from solving common problems. My problem, like a lot of other men, I couldn't find a shirt that looked good untucked. So this became my passion, to design a shirt that captures the perfect balance between length and fit. Easy to say, not that easy to do. But with some innovative design changes, we did it. Our problem, my solution. Untuckit.com.
You know, when I take the bike out like this, all my stresses just melt away.
You said it. You don't have to worry about anything when you're saving dough with America's #1 motorcycle insurer. Sharks, getting trapped in an elevator, dogs with human-like faces, my carbon footprint, my daughter's JV hockey schedule.
FanDuel Casino has your chance at the #1 feeling, winning, which ranks even higher than the 18th best feeling, saving a kid from a well. 59 years later. For the first time, new players get 200 bonus spins with your first deposit. Plus, get up to $1,000 back.
There are trucks, and then there's the GMC Sierra, available with the connected driving experience and the world's first 6-function multi-pro tailgate. GMC Sierra. It's the truck. Or get $6,000 purchase allowance when you trade in an eligible vehicle. That's 10% below MSRP on select GMC Sierra models. We are professional grade GMC.
Itch, scratch, must not itch.
Stop the itch sanity with Cortisone 10 for bug bites, poison ivy, and other itches. Cortisone 10 is #1 doctor recommended. It works fast and lasts for hours. Cortisone 10.
We all want to feel safe when traveling. That's why if you see something that feels suspicious, such as an abandoned bag or erratic behavior from a passenger, just call 911. You can call anonymously, and it's okay if it turns out to be nothing. Work together with the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey to keep our transportation facilities safe. Visit PANYNJ.gov to learn more.
For years, one company has battled to deliver business products the next day with no freight charges. Now, WB Mason, with their famous fleet of trucks and drivers, faces their biggest challenge, rescuing shipping and packaging buyers from expensive freight charges. That's right. Now, boxes, stretch film, and packaging tape are delivered the very next day at amazingly low prices. So, who do you call for fast delivery and no expensive freight charges? Who but WB Mason?
We all want to feel safe when traveling. That's why if you see something that feels suspicious, such as an abandoned bag or erratic behavior from a passenger, just call 911. You can call anonymously, and it's okay if it turns out to be nothing. Work together with the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey to keep our transportation facilities safe. Visit PANYNJ.gov to learn more. We have voting now for Drop Madness. The championship is being played, and it doesn't look good for the old grifter, as Don looks like he's running away with it. Am I right, Anthony? I know you're monitoring this closely.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Griffin to come out of this one. He's going to need a couple timeouts. Going to have to reconvene on his defense.
Hate to hear it.
You know what? Don's running away with it.
All right, it's time now for the Pinstripe Report, brought to you by Samwell Institute for Pain Management. The Yankees have the best record in baseball. They're tied for the best record in baseball with the Pittsburgh Pirates at 8-2. So a great start for the Yankees, and they still are not doing everything right. Judge is still hitting under 200. Stanton came alive on Saturday and Sunday. Hit a big home run yesterday. I mean, the sound that the grand slam made off the bat was just amazing. And so they take 2 out of 3. They've won their first 3 series. Now they have 3 against the Marlins, who finally won a game. They were the last winless team. They finally won a game. They beat the Cardinals yesterday. So they come at 1-9. Thursday's an off day for the Yankees, and they head to Cleveland, and after that to Toronto to play the Blue Jays again. So the Yankees have been doing okay. Their bullpen's been great. And when you watch it on a daily basis, again, they're not clicking. Verdugo's hitting under 100, but they continue to win. I think the bullpen has a lot to do with it. They should have blown out the game on Saturday. They ended up not doing that. They let the Blue Jays get back into it, where they had to use their closer and Ian Hamilton as well. Yesterday, they held off the Blue Jays again. So all things considered, pretty good. You can't get too high or too low, but they're doing this without their best pitcher. And they're doing it without Jonathan Loaisiga in the bullpen. Somehow they're getting it done. Don, there are worse things than starting 8-2, so the Yankees are in a pretty good position right now.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing to complain about. There are things you'd like to fine-tune. Like that would have been a tough loss yesterday had they coughed it up. But listen, the Blue Jays are a team that's a rival. You've taken care of 2 out of 3 after getting shut out on opening day. The defending National League champions, you beat them 2 out of 3. You swept the arch rival Astros. I don't really know how a Yankee fan can complain.
Let's open the phones and find out.
I'm sure they'll complain.
We certainly can find out, Don.
But like I said, I don't see how, but they will come up with something because they're not undefeated, not going to go 162-0. But
if you play 800 baseball, you have a good chance to win a division.
Yeah, an outstanding chance. And again, the Red Sox are off to a good start, but is that sustainable? We'll see.
Trevor Story's out. Could be a long out. He hurt his shoulder.
It's a long season, ebbs and flows. Back, we got a long way to go, and there are going to be struggles and there's going to be slumps. But I can tell you one thing: I know Judge is going to hit more than 200 on the season.
Yes, probably hit 300. He'll be fine. That is the Pinstripe Report, brought to you by Samwell Institute for Pain Management. For pain-free life, visit SamwellPain.com today. All right, let's take some phone calls. 1-800-919-3776. And we'll go to Nick in Queens. Start it off, Nick. Nick.
Hey, how we doing?
Good. How you doing?
Guys? Good. Sorry about before. I had gotten disconnected.
That's all right.
What's up, guys? First off, I wanted to say Don, I'm with you 100%. I believe the Garden's going to be an absolute frenzy this postseason for both teams.
Yeah, we'll see if it's going to be 94-esque, because I don't know if the Knicks are a team that can win a championship, but I think they both can go far, and it's been a long time so we can say both of these teams, made it out of the second round.
Well, I think they definitely energized the crowd just off of the friendship with the whole Villanova thing. So that was just the starter. The main thing is Anthony Volpe. I gotta ask, do you guys not believe that he's the X factor for this team to go far?
I didn't look at him that way, Nick, coming in. I thought that if he performed the way he did last year, obviously that would be good enough. You want him to hit a little bit more. But if he's a 300 hitter and he gets on base as much as him getting on and then continues to play Gold Glove defense, that's great. But I didn't look at him as an X factor. I looked at Nestor Cortez and Colon. Rodon. I looked at those guys as X factors. Those guys were really important. They had to play well. I thought DJ LeMahieu was really important. A lot of people thought Stanton. I didn't see that because I think they have people that could replace Stanton if he doesn't hit. Anthony Volpe, saying he's an X factor, obviously would give them so much more latitude with other things if he hits over 300 and gets on base 35% of the time. But I don't think he's going to swing it whether the Yankees win a World Series or not. He could help them be better, but I think those two pitchers are really the most important. I mean, Cortez has to pitch better early. Let's see what he does against a Marlins team that hasn't been able to score. And Rodon, I think, has pitched very well in the first two games. Those guys, to me, are X factors.
Now, but if you want to look at the postseason, and that's what Yankee fans are looking towards, it hasn't been the pitching; it's been the hitting that has disappeared. So, could he be an X factor in the postseason, where it's another bat, it's another threat, but not in the way that it usually is with the home run? A guy that can get on base, he can steal a base, he can hit for average. I mean, yeah, if you're going to get something out of that position, that would be pretty special then, because you're going to get out of Judge and what you're going to get out of Soto, but with not knowing what the situation's going to be with LeMahieu, I guess he could be an X factor, at least offensively.
How about this? This just came in. The Iowa-South Carolina Women's Championship game averaged 18.7 million viewers on Sunday. It peaked at 24 million. Peaked. Viewership up 89% and 285% from 2022, 89% from 2023. Most watched basketball game, men or women's, college or pro, since 2019. Most watched, more than the NBA. And it is the most watched sporting event since 2019 when you exclude football and the Olympics.
But it's at that level, though, isn't it? She is a phenomenon. And usually that's reserved for, like, the Olympics, because the Olympics draw people other than sports fans. Because when you look at the grand scheme of things, Michael, you have to take football out of it because the numbers are unbelievable. Like, sports doesn't do all that well compared to other things on television. But when you get something that seems to transcend, like football, like the Olympics, where you just seem to just get more eyeball, get people, the average, this seemed to captivate everyone. It had to go beyond sports. So when you say
it's unbelievable.
So it's really, I guess, just about her, right? If it's up 89% from last year.
I mean, something's happened. Like, it's hard to even fully qualify. Like, as good as she's been, and you understand an increased level of attention, don't you think, Michael, it's like almost like something else has happened? Like, as a result of her being like this perfect storm of the LSU-Iowa rivalry from last year, the controversy between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, leading into this year where Caitlin Clark becomes like the female Steph Curry. But then it all sort of like a domino fell, and it's like it's even more than that now.
It's going to be interesting, Peter. I think it's a great point. But she's going to be gone next year. So is that interest going to shift over to the WNBA? Are they going to get bigger numbers than they've been getting? Or will a guy like Paige Becker or a girl like Paige Beckers, will she be able to carry that kind of interest level when she plays for UConn next year? I don't know.
Oh, by the way, or is it both? Do we see an increase next year in the WNBA and the women's college game?
But what's interesting is that whenever we've seen these kind of phenomenons, whether it was the Women's World Cup, like everybody was watching that, right? When they won the whole thing, and then you know, women's leagues started after that, and they never seemed to have the same attention because it lost its cachet, right? Like moving on to the pros, there's something just special about what she's doing here. So if she goes to the WNBA, are fans going to be as interested if there is a transition period where she's not breaking records, she's not scoring 50 points? Like what if the pundits are right and she does struggle early on because now she's going up against professionals? Are people going to tap out in that transition? So let's go. But it's still got to be a little bit of a bump, though, right?
You would think so, and I think it's going to really help the WNBA. And Angel Reese going up against Caitlin Clark, I think that's going to be a big deal. So maybe it carries over to them, and all of a sudden you see this exponential jump in viewership for the WNBA. Let's go to Sharky in Suffering. Sharky.
Hey, good afternoon, MDP. I want to chime in on Caitlin Clark.
Okay.
First of all, I wasn't into college women's basketball at all until last year's Final Four, and then this year's, let's say, Elite Eight. Caitlin Clark in the first quarter last night, the most amazing 10 minutes of basketball I've ever seen by a man or a woman.
19 points, right, Sharky?
18, I believe.
18, okay.
In 10 minutes. Don't forget, 10-minute quarter. I don't think South Carolina is getting enough credit for an unbelievable. That girl Johnson, I don't know what number she was. She dogged Caitlin Clark in quarters 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, she wore it down.
I've never seen anybody. And then she took away a jump shot, made her go to the basket, and who's waiting for you at the basket there? That big girl Cordoza, who played an unbelievable game, and the rest of the bigs in there. And a couple times when Caitlin Clark was able to dish off, unfortunately her teammates didn't give her a whole lot of help. But I was fascinated. And South Carolina also, in case you didn't know, Michael, South Carolina is like 109-3 in the last 3 years. 2 years ago, they lost 2 games. Last year, they lost 1. And this year, they lost none.
You know what, Sharky? They've been so impressive, and Dawn Staley's their coach, that the NBA writer, I think his name is Gary Washburn, for the Boston Globe, wrote an entire story that the Charlotte Hornets should hire Dawn Staley as their head coach. That's how impressive a coach she is. Then everything's going to be it'll be great, right? Then we'll really see. I mean, I think it's only a matter of time before there's a women's coach in the NBA. Why wouldn't they? A great coach is a great coach. So I think it's great for sport. It really is. Let's go to Jim in Little Neck. Jim.
How you doing, fellas?
Good. What's up, Jim?
A couple of quick points. I wanted to talk a little bit about the pitch clock, but before that, I wanted to make mention about Jerry Grody passing away yesterday. The quick story, I was a little kid, maybe 8, 9 years old. He lived in our garden apartment complex, had a station wagon, and about 10 of us at a time would help him bring his bags into the back of the station wagon. And he was just a really nice man.
Oh, it's great to hear.
We're going to miss him. Anyway, in reference to the pitch clock, don't like it. Don't think there should be any clocks in baseball. If you have to do anything, use a pitch clock, or not even a pitch clock. Use a clock for the batters, because the batters, more times than not, are really what's holding up the game. Okay?
But why are you against the pitch clock, Jim? I mean, it's going back to the old days.
Yeah, I just don't like it. I think it changes the dynamic of the game. I think that you got pitchers now in their head thinking about, I got to get rid of this pitch at a certain amount of time. It's not a natural thing.
But Jim, do you realize that everybody was like really fearful that the pitch clock was going to come into play and it was going to end a postseason game with a pitch clock violation? I don't know if you realize this, Don and Peter. Not one pitch clock violation during the playoffs last year. Not one. They're handling it fine. Now, if I could change one thing to speed the game up even a little bit more, every single hitter now is playing with that timeout that they get. Every single one of them calls a timeout. That timeout, to me, would be taken away until the 7th inning on. All right, so when everything means so much, I know that at-bats in the 3rd or 4th inning mean a lot. 7th, 8th, and 9th inning and extra innings, you get one at-bat, one timeout per bat. Every single batter calls a timeout now. in their at bat. It's ridiculous. It's slowing the game back down again. That's watch Anthony Rizzo does it all the time. Watch every player. I'm not just jumping on Rizzo. Every player calls a timeout every single at bat. Too much. It slows the game back down. They're always ahead. They're always going to outthink the rules, and they've outthought the rule now. So the hitter does call timeout.
And there's no rule to bounce back against them outthinking the rule? That's just it?
Well, what I'm saying is the way you bounce back, okay, you can't call timeouts anymore till the 7th inning. That would be my thing.
But as of right now, there's nothing in place.
Nothing. They just use a timeout. Let's say if it's a 3-2 count, they want to step out. They want to think about it, and it slows the game down.
Well, if every other sport has a number of timeouts, then why can't baseball? Instead of after the 7th, no, this is how many timeouts you get per game.
No, that's not bad either.
I mean, they have
anytime if you can limit it down to being unlimited, because right now it's unlimited. You get one per bat, but if every batter does it, you're slowing the game down. There's 18 timeouts each time through the order. Let's go to Mark in East Elmhurst. Mark.
Hey, good afternoon, Mike, Don, and Peter.
What's up, Mark?
I hope everyone... Oh, I got something to go in on that John Heyman happened to. I hope everyone who watched TV on Sunday can appreciate the best of the best that they saw. And I'm not talking about Caitlin Clark in South Carolina. I'm not even talking about Aaron Judge and Juan Soto at Yankee Stadium. No, Michael Kay, you were in the presence of greatness, the greatest umpire of all time, Angel Hernandez, to the point that it was so bad that John Heyman actually tweeted out, quote, "This should be Angel Hernandez's last game. Enough already." I mean, that's pretty strong from John Heyman. And it was pretty bad. I happened to watch young Jack Leiter pitch on a AAA broadcast Saturday night.
How do you look?
And he looked all right. He had some command issues, but what I liked was that there were two of those pitch challenges.
Yes.
And the umpire got it right. Pitch was an inch below the strike zone. And it made me think, wow, great call. Might have been a strike. They did the challenge. Ump was right. It's a ball, like in those tennis games. Inch below the strike zone. Great call. And then Sunday, we see whatever that was with Angel Hernandez. And he's not the only umpire who's been bad with the strike zone early on. But I can't wait till we get this either challenge system or robo-ump.
Well, I don't think, Mark, you're going to get robo-ump. I think you're going to get a challenge system. And it works. And it's quick. It should be done within like 4 seconds. Batter taps his helmet. The umpire looks upstairs. Somebody looks at it like the tennis in or out. I forget what that system's called. And they call ball a strike. It's that quick. And then you have a limited amount of times that you can do it. Now, as for Angel Hernandez, we always joke about it, Don and Peter. Every time he's behind home plate, something's going to happen. He got into a back and forth with Luis Heel. Heel started it because he thought 2 pitches were strikes that were clearly not, and that slowed him down. Then he showed up Hernandez by walking up the mound as if it was a strikeout, and then Hernandez all of a sudden starts to he puts himself out there. The guy's been an umpire, though, for 34 years. And one thing I did find out, umpires love him. Like he's true, he's loyal, he backs up everybody that is an umpire. The 4 guys that travel together with Angel, he will do anything for them. But he's somewhat dubious in calling balls and strikes, and he always seems to somehow foist himself on the game. I don't get why baseball can't stop it.
But to me, that's not a defense because he's a good guy. I mean, so he's a loyal guy. That he's a bad umpire, Michael. I mean, I've heard fans complain about officials and umpires forever, but not to the level of Angel Hernandez. So he might be a good guy, he might be loyal. What does that have to do with him being a good umpire or not?
No, you're right. You're right. And he sued Major League Baseball for discrimination, saying he thought that they were discriminating him by not putting him in postseason games. And they ended up winning. He's not on postseason games because not good. His ratings are awful. And he always seems to foist himself on and become part of the story, especially when he's behind the plate. Let's go to Steve in Houston. Steven.
Hello.
Hello, Steve.
How you doing?
Good.
I'd like to get your guys' take on Scott Van Pelt, all the expert panelists, and Gino Ariema's about the call at the end of the UConn game.
Right.
I mean, weren't you disappointed in it?
In which part?
I mean,
the moving screen one. I was disappointed because I wanted to see how the game would have turned out if they got a shot. Paige Beckers would have gotten a shot. But I got to tell you the truth, Steve. I don't know if you agree, Peter. That was a moving pick. It was an illegal screen.
Unfortunately, it was such an egregious foul, you had to call it. It would have been... I know that, we get into these conversations late in the game, at the end of the Super Bowl, why are you calling pass interference there? If it's an egregious foul, you cannot ignore it and cheat for the losing team so they get the look. To me, the moving screen was bad enough that, Michael, I would have viewed it as cheating for UConn to ignore that foul. They had to call it. It was a full
I think people came into the game, though, Peter, thinking, well, they won Iowa in the championship game. So that's why that kind of colored their thought about the call. But if that call was made in the third quarter, you wouldn't even blink. It was an illegal screen. But I didn't like it because I wanted to see how the game played out if Beckers got the call. If Beckers ended up getting the shot. But she never got the shot because if she had gotten the shot off that screen, then it would have been an ill-gotten gains. She would have gotten open because of an illegal screen. But I understand, what Gino Auriemma said, there are illegal screens all the time. We have to teach it better. He said, but there were 4 illegal screens calling the game all on us. So I guess he felt a little put upon, but that was an awful way to end a great game. And talk about like people being interested in it being the it thing. I sat there with Charlie and Callie. Callie never watches sports, and she was engaged. It was so much fun watching that game, and the vision and the passing ability of Caitlin Clark. Forget about the three-point shooting. She sees the floor and she threads the needle with passes. She's an extraordinary player. So I can see why a lot of people tuned in around the world. What would you do? This has got higher ratings than the NBA. What if somebody said to Ryan Ruocco, we'll give you the top NBA job, or you could keep doing this? He's getting more viewers doing this.
Yeah, but it would be interesting what's going to happen beyond Caitlin Clark. But I tell you what, the real winner's him, because when you get that many people to see what you can do.
Yeah, he was on CBS this morning.
And he is nailing it, too. The calls have been phenomenal. So, and listen, he's already in the number 2 on ABC and ESPN, but I think he was on the fast track of becoming the guy when Mike Breen decides not to do it anymore. But this is only going to accelerate that. Because you get 24 million people on peak watching you. That's not nothing, man. That's pretty cool.
Peter, I know you have something to talk about with Dodge.
Oh, you know what, Michael? I'm so glad you brought it up. Because I have so much to tell you.
God bless you.
Peter Rosenberg.
That's a wrap on the show for today. Coming up next, our coverage of the Yankees and Marlins gets underway with the pregame show. For all of us here on the Michael Kay Show, this is Chris Sheeran saying have a great night. Enjoy the game. We'll see you tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Show on Yes is presented by Untuck It. Shirts designed to be worn untucked. Shop now at untuckit.com.
The best ideas come from solving common problems. My problem, like a lot of other men, I couldn't find a shirt that looked good untucked. So this became my passion, to design a shirt that captures the perfect balance between length and fit.